Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, Elizabeth Olsen, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Benedict Wong, Xochitl Gomez, forgive me if I said that wrong, Michael Stolberg, and Rachel McAdams, directed by Sam Raimi. Now, I remember seeing this trailer, let's say, at the end of No Way Home, and I was thinking, are they doing what the first Avenger did to the Avengers? But that's all different approaches. But the trailers might be a bit exciting. We'll see how this goes. Let's get into it. In a dream of Dr. Stephen Strange, returned by Benedict Cumberbatch, getting American Chavez, played by Xochitl Chavez. Forgive me if I said that wrong. Or wait, was it Chavez? Gomez, excuse me. Gomez. In the multiverse, where Steven's universe is at while he takes America's power, as it was the only way to keep her alive, and the effects in that scene was fantastic for sure. Steven wakes up and goes to a wedding of his old lover, Christine Palmer, returned by Rachel McAdams. And who was also there? Dr. Nick West, returned by Michael Stolberg, who was in the first film as the guy Steven outsmarted in the surgery room in the beginning of the first Doctor Strange film. But Christine marries Charlie, who is a big fan of Doctor Strange as an Avenger, as he's happy for her, but sad he never married her, as it was never going to work out between them, which is a sad message for this beginning, but unfortunately, he was an a-hole to her in the first film. Steven fights a giant creature going after America called, let me see if I say this right, Gargantos. And Wong, returned by Benedict Wong, comes in while Steven, I'll call him for the rest of the show, was knocked out and his cloak, tries to wake him up and saves America's life, and Steven does defeat Gargantos by stabbing it in the eyeball, which was gross, and the fight was cool, and the effects was pretty good, but as a character, America unfortunately didn't feel as important, as she can't control her powers. And is she an Avenger? Because unfortunately, I don't believe it after watching this whole movie. While Steven feels like a jackass this time, like he kind of was in the first film, and Wong is adequate at best, as it turns out Steven's dream did actually happen in the multiverse, and he and Wong bury another body of Doctor Strange as we move on to the dream of Wanda Maximoff, returned by Elizabeth Olsen, of being with her children from WandaVision, as she wakes up and gardens a tree while Steven visits her to ask for help with the multiverse, as she brings up America's name while Steven never brought it up, and she made the garden look like a hell as she read the Darkhold, which was what Steven read in the first Doctor Strange, as she wants to go to the multiverse to reunite her children, as she has to get America. For what reason? I'm not too sure, other than going to the multiverse, but Steven and Wong go to war with Wanda, or as she's known as the Scarlet Witch, as I'm going to be honestly calling her for the rest of the show. She's the best character in the whole movie, despite she's sort of the villain in this movie, which makes sense after watching WandaVision, as she tries to be reasonable with Steven, and the action in this scene is cool to see in IMAX, but the 3D in these scenes look like crap. And same goes with the effects in that first scene. And the movie in this plot, in my opinion, is pretty unspectacular, as this movie could have had more stakes with America, as she was unfortunately not the best character in the movie. Wanda tries to get to America from the reflections, as she comes out of a reflection like in a bad horror movie, in which director Sam Raimi is an expert at making a movie into a nightmare like in a horror movie. And if you've seen his takes on horror, like The Evil Dead, for example, as Wanda explains to Steven how she had children and she tries to kill America, but Steven goes in the multiverse as they start off in New York. And I did like the animation while going through the multiverse, as it reminded me of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And after they arrive, they talk about the Book of Ashanti, and they walk on the streets on a red light, which was amusing, while America tells Steven to get food, including pizza, as a pizza stand led by Pizza Papa, or Popa, I don't even know if I was saying that right, played by Bruce Campbell as a cameo, Stephen makes him punch himself for 3 weeks, which will lead to an amusing after credits scene, spoiler alert. But I'll talk about that later at the end of the show. But I love the cameo of Bruce Campbell, and the scenes worked fine, but not too spectacularly. Stephen in America got a memory lane as Stephen sees his first date with Christine, and America opened the multiverse as she believes she killed her parents, which did feel pretty stinking weird, as this is a weird movie so far. Stephen in America go to the Carmitage, excuse me, where there's a statue of Doctor Strange in the universe they're at right now as an enemy of Doctor Strange. Mordo, excuse me, I keep doing that, it's driving me crazy. Returned by Chiwetel Ejiofor, tells what's happening and what's he facing off against the Scarlet Witch, while Mordo poisons Stephen in America, and the Scarlet Witch dreams of her children while watching them and forces Wanda to not be her innocent self, as she sees her children wanting more ice cream, which was cute, while the Scarlet Witch holds Wong captive and kills another soldier of the Carmitage. And the sound in IMAX was better than any regular showing of this movie, as the 3D in this movie looked mediocre, but when it uses special effects, it looks like crap. Stephen and America are held in a jail cell as Stephen's powers don't work, and he sees the doctors, including a redheaded Christine, holding them captive, as Rachel McAdams' character is too negative in this movie, and I don't like her either. Mordo takes Stephen to the Illuminati, as Mordo introduces the Illuminati, who are Captain Carter, returned by Haley Atwell, Black Bolt, returned by Anson Mount from Inhumans, which shocked me, Captain Marvel, played this time by Lashana Lynch, who was in Captain Marvel as a different character, Monica Rambeau. No, that's not right. Maria Rambeau, that's her name. I for some reason forgot about that. Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four, played by John Krasinski, and Professor Charles Xavier, returned by Patrick Stewart from X-Men, as he explains how their Doctor Strange became evil, and Black Bolt had to kill Doctor Strange with his voice, like in the Inhumans TV show, which didn't make much sense. Meanwhile, Wong takes the Scarlet Witch, while he's her prisoner, to a tower that looks like a castle in Mount Everest, in which I could be wrong about the location, as some of this was filmed in Iceland, as some giant monsters appear and bow down to the Scarlet Witch. And as she does throw Wong off an edge of the mountain, which did feel odd, Wanda comes in, and Professor X releases Doctor Strange, as Mordo is reluctant about it, while Black Bolt gets his mouth shut by the Scarlet Witch, and he talks and blows his own brain out when kills Reed Richards, as Captain Carter and Marvel are killed with the giant Rick. And Captain Carter's shield, I thought, good riddance, because I don't watch What If, nor will I ever plan to. Stephen and Mordo fight each other off, as Stephen wins by trapping Mordo, as Christine tries to get America out of, and Professor X gets in the Scarlet Witch's head and tries to free Wanda, but the Scarlet Witch gets to Professor X and breaks his neck, and it was a waste for Patrick Stewart. And there has been rumors for a while that John Krasinski would be Reed Richards. And Stephen finds America and Christine while the Scarlet Witch gains up on them, and the sound design and sound editing is the best thing in this movie, as Sam Raimi was the best at that in his first 2 Spider-Man movies, not so much the third one, and it's, in my opinion, works good in this movie. Stephen tries to open the door to the multiverse, and Christine reluctantly gives Stephen the watch she gave him on their first date to open the door to the multiverse, and grabs the Book of Ashanti, but unfortunately the Scarlet Witch grabs America and brings her back to our universe, while Stephen and Christine go in another universe, and they go to the building from the first Doctor Strange to Avengers Infinity War to prove how they're the same Doctor Strange, of how his sister Donna fell through the ice and drowned, as he sees the Doctor Strange has the powers of the Darkhold and has a third eyeball, and as they fight with the Darkhold, and the music notes as weapon of choice was pretty cool, and I liked that as it was a trick, And the Steven from our world wins, and a music note from a flute, which was laughable. And as the other Steven falls to his death, he wakes up and scares Christine half to death, which was a joke from the first Doctor Strange film, but not as funny this time, I'll say. Stephen gets the Darkhold and dream walks to his world while the souls of the damned try to get him for trespassing, while Wong wakes up and clubs the mountain, and Stephen gets the dead body that is Stephen as he dream walks into his own universe, and the souls of the damned attack Stephen while Christine sends them all back to hell and gets Stephen back to the dead body and fights the giant monsters as Wong kills one of them off, and Stephen gets to the Scarlet Witch and gets the souls of the damned to attack the Scarlet Witch while Wong takes her prisoner, and Stephen and the effects of the dead bodies, Doctor Strange, I'll say, moving either his mouth or arms or anything around his body looked pretty bad, actually. Stephen frees America and tells her to kick the witch's ass as she exposes the Scarlet Witch as a monster while Wanda is wounded and is sad because her own kids are afraid of her. And Wanda says you could be loved while America can control her powers and takes Wong with her while the Scarlet Witch sacrifices herself. And the Darkhold in every universe is destroyed as the Scarlet Witch did the right thing, and the dialogue in this whole movie is corny. And that's something director Sam Raimi cannot master as far as the director goes. And America becomes a student of the Carmitage as she needs to slow down and thanks Stephen for taking her in, and Stephen fixes the watch and he takes a walk in New York City and gets the third eye from earlier in the film as the credits roll to a mid-credit scene where Stephen meets Clea, I think it's Clea, played by Charlize Theron, as she wants Stephen to fix an inversion Stephen made, and the after-credit scene is Bruce Campbell still punching himself after 3 weeks, as it stops and says, "It's over," which was the funniest thing in the whole movie, in my opinion. And the climax in there was entertaining me more than the middle half, which didn't make much sense, and the beginning was sort of interesting, I guess. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 6.1 out of 10. Not quite as good as the first Doctor Strange films, as I like the effects, but don't watch this in 3D because it looked like crap. But if you go for a special screening like IMAX, for example, the effects and sound work pretty good, and the plot is unfortunately not that spectacular. I don't like some of the characters, but Wanda, aka the Scarlet Witch, was the best character in this movie. In my opinion, as America was the weakest thing as far as the characters are concerned. I feel like Phase 4 has been a downer, which is a shame because I want to like the movies better, but so far the TV is doing a little better with an exception of Hawkeye and Moon Knight, but this movie is fine at best. And I would like to thank you guys for joining me, and next time I will be back with Thor, Love and Thunder. And until then, Avengers Assemble!